Hello and welcome to another episode of me painting again. So I showed the reference picture I'm using before flipping to this angle because I wanted you to get an idea, but I'm not going to paint it exactly because I might change things a bit just for my own enjoyment. And let me show you something. I forget sometimes that people are getting tips from watching my videos, and I just paint and not really think about it. So here's a tip. Using a spirit level when you put your canvas on your easel, it's really important because you'll find when you nudge your easel, you change canvases over, it changes, and then when you put your canvas on, you do your painting and you take it off and frame it and it's slightly lopsided. Not as good, is it? You want it to be nice and flat. So you have your get your spirit level ready, and you can get that problem solved straight away. And then the other problem is, say you're doing something a bit more specific and you want things measuring. I use one of these. This is a scaling tool. It's quite fast to use. It's quite a fast thing to quickly measure and use a piece of chalk to quickly draw in. So that's quite a speedy way. So there's two tips. Using chalk. Use chalk. Why aren't you using chalk? Why don't painters use chalk anymore? It's so cheap. It's the cheapest thing ever. And it doesn't matter that the paint mixes in with it. You don't even have to spray it. Because some people spray it with something to seal it. You don't even have to do that because you can mix paint with chalk. So I don't do that. I don't bother. I don't want hairspray under my painting. So anyway, so what I've done is I've done a sketch over this portrait that I did a while ago. This was a copy of a Van Gogh portrait that I wanted to try my hand at. But I need a canvas. What am I going to do? I can't go out and buy one, so I use ones that I've pre-painted on. So I better get a brush actually. That's one thing I forgot. I needed a brush. So I'm just going to wipe this brush. I've been working on a portrait at the moment, so all my brushes have got like pinks on them, so you can see my palette. Speaking of the palette of colours today. Look at my palette, it's all pink. So I've got some cadmium red, got a little bit of that ready, some cadmium yellow, some ultramarine blue, some burnt umber, some viridian green and some sap green, and titanium white. I think this will be enough colours. I don't think we need any more. We probably could have done without the sap green and just used one green, but I'm a bit of a cheater. And I thought in the cooler areas I could throw in a bit of the viridian green and that'll help me out a little bit. So where do we start? Let's just move the reference picture across. So where do you start? You know, there's a lot to paint there, isn't there? So there's two ways to think of this. You could paint your lights in, squint your eyes, and you could look for lights and darks. Have two brushes. This is something I do. Get two brushes, get a light brush and a dark brush and start blocking in things. If you squint your eyes down, you can start seeing blocks of shapes like this block here and that block there, there's blocks here. And start simplifying everything to make it easier for you to see. And another thought is paint what's at the back and then come forward. So I would be thinking to myself, I can see, I'll do it like that. So when you're out and about painting and someone walks around the corner and you're there going, hmm, they might think, oh, what's that guy doing in the woods? I think he's constipated. So you're squinting your eyes down and you're looking at the lights. And then, yeah, the other thing is paint at the back. So I see like this bit as the background, and then this sort of bit is the middle ground, and then this bit is the foreground. So you could think in 3 blocks. That's another way of doing it. So I think I will start by mixing. I'm looking at colours which I might find harder to mix. So I always go for them first, and I find I've never mixed this colour before. It's a pale bluey green. It's actually like greyish almost. So let's try and mix that first. So it's white, blue. Now it's quite pale, isn't it? Bit of this sap green. So we don't want to put too much colour in. That's where you start using too much paint, if you start slopping in too much colour into your white. So I'm going to put a bit of brown in it as well. Let's have a look at that. It's probably too bright. Yeah. So we can get some more colour. More of the blue, more of the brown, more of the green. A lot of the times when you're mixing your colour and you check it, you think, oh, wow, that's a lot darker than I originally thought. Or it's a lot lighter than I originally thought. It's good fun though, mixing colours. It's good fun. See, I'm close, but I think more the blue and brown. Some areas I'm almost there, some areas I'm not. I'm going to put a bit more colour in. See, I would say, because that's close-ish, especially in some of them areas, I think I'll go with that. It's close-ish. Close-ish is good enough, look, close-ish. There's somewhat warm areas in there where I can get a flick of red and put that in. I quite like that colour. So, well, we might as well start painting, haven't we? Let's get cracking on this one. Let's just move that closer. I know it's slightly out of shot, but that's why I wanted to show you the picture. So you've got a view of it. You can always go back to when we were just mixing that colour and take a screenshot if you was following along, if you wanted to paint this one. I don't mind, you can paint it. I know some painters on YouTube, they'll say, oh no, this painting is copyrighted. Well, why put it out as a lesson then? Don't understand that. You can paint any of mine. If you like any of them, feel free to have a go at painting them. I do not mind at all. In fact, to me, I've done a good job. If you want to paint it, then you probably thought, oh, that looks like a good picture. I wouldn't mind that on my wall, or I know somebody might buy that. Then just feel free, have a go at it. I don't mind. Maybe if you do paint it, maybe you can share it. Let people know. Let people see it. I know some of you are probably thinking, no, you're painting over that portrait. I like that portrait. And I do quite like that portrait. Just thrown a bit of red in there. Look how dark it got. Just changing things up a bit in places. I do that. That colour there. I've done, like I said, I did my chalk sketch just to help me out a bit. Just sitting back having a look at that. I have to tell myself to stop sometimes because I get a bit carried away and I'll start doing a lot of the painting and I haven't stopped to think. Stopping to think. There's something that's fun and challenging to do. Thinking. See, painting, some people don't think how much thinking is involved. They think you just set your paints up and, oh yeah, they just set their paints up and they just enjoy themselves, you know. I'm not going to give them too much money for their picture because they enjoy it and it's their pleasure to paint my picture for me. That's a funny one, isn't it? It's their pleasure. So I'll give them 10 quid. I've been at this painting malarkey now for over 10 years. And I think to myself sometimes, you know, to get good at painting, for me, someone like me who's not got any talent, no artist talent, no natural ability, for someone like me, it's been hard graft, hard work to paint, and when I do paintings like portraits, you know, it's really hard work because you've got to try and match things and colour match things, get things looking like somebody. It's hard work, isn't it? And it is a challenge. It is a challenge. They never believe me though. They never believe me. Right, let's have a look. I want to get that real darkness. I'm just going to thinking blue, black and red might work. Yeah. Nothing's going to be the same in this painting and another. I mean, this photo and this painting. I'm not going to do it the same. I'm just going to use it as the idea. Some people, they want it to be exact. I'm not really that fussed. I want it to look. It's got the idea, the essence of it. The dreaded essence. The essence. What is the essence of something? The essence of something is small. I don't want this painting to be that. No. The dreaded essence. light in there, behind that tree. I hate that phrase, the essence. Okay, I'm going to get some of this lighter colour that I was using when I was mixing, just to throw into that. Right, what do I want now? I think I want some sky, you know. I think it'd be a bit better if I throw in some sky. So I need a different brush. This brush is good. To give all my brushes a quick wipe, because they've all got like this oil on them so they don't dry out. Dip them in oil and mixture of oil and oil of cloves. I made quite a lot of oil of cloves in it, to be honest. And then I mix a bit of colouring. So I'm going to do this blue sky. I mix a little bit of the ultramarine blue and white in and put that on my brush and then kind of wipe it off again. And then you get the colour that you want. Well, you get the clean brush, that's what I'm trying to say. So, blue and white. So it's quite a pale sky. I might make it more blue than what it is, because what you find when you're taking photos, especially if you're an amateur, an amateur photographer and an amateur painter, when you're an amateur and you're out there with your camera, sometimes it's hard to get the sky to be blue as well as the light and everything, and the darkness of the trees to stay dark, so it kind of whites out your sky, unless you're a good photographer, but I'm not, so we have to sort ours out as a painting. Good job, isn't it? Good job I know how to slosh some paints around. Yeah, that's nicer. See how opaque this paint is? So the titanium white is an opaque, very opaque pigment. So you mix it with your colour, it really covers. Covers, does what it's supposed to do, it covers. So we'll take this down to there, say. Just got to watch out for our tree. We don't want a muddy. Oh, we don't want a muddy colour. Yeah, so another challenge that is to get away from the muddiness of a colour of paint when you first start painting. And since we're throwing out loads of tips today, how do you prevent that? I mean, I imagine myself watching these videos, asking these questions in his head. When I was a beginner and I'd watch someone, I'd be thinking, well, when I do that painting, all my colours, they don't look as fresh as yours, they all look a bit muddy. So what are you doing differently? Because I can't see anything different. I want to know exactly why mine isn't turning out any good when I watch yours and yours does. What's going on? And I would say this: 2 things will prevent the horrible muddiness of colours. And the first thing is, another hair. This brush is losing hairs. Yeah, two things. The first thing is, you're not using enough paint. When you're mixing your colours, you're not using enough pigment for it to be bright and happy and strong, because you need pigment for that to happen. You need it. So that could be the one thing that you're not doing. You're not using enough paint, and if that's true, then well, now you know. So get your paints out and squirt them onto your palette and stop being a cheapskate. Because that is one of the things, and that's one of the errors I used to make. A big error, that is. And then number two, you're not keeping your brushes clean enough. When you're going from one colour to another, you noticed how I switched brushes. Now, when I only had a couple of brushes, I would be washing them, wiping them, hoping to get the yellow off or the blue off the colour, off the brush, so I can start chucking other paint on. Well, that's another problem, isn't it? Because if you're doing it like that, then your brush isn't going to be clean enough. It's just not going to be clean enough. So if you want clean colours, you need clean brushes, and you need to use enough paint. There we go. There's your tip. There's the tip. There's a bit of light. There's a bit of light here through these trees. Let's just put them in. Something I always look for, those little light dots that you get, because when you get them, they make all the difference in the world. All the difference. That'll do for that. What we're doing now, just one more brush. So we've got our background brush, that's still on the go. Got our sky brush, which, yeah, I might leave this as my sky brush. Put that over there. Let's get another brush. Not sure if this brush is ready to be used again. I left the brush out of the oil and it was just on the side. But I found if you dip it in oil, and oil of cloves, and let it soak, sometimes it can soften enough. It'll clean it and soften it. So let's see if it's worked. It's soft. It's stained. But it's softer. So what I want to do is mix up a colour for the background trees, and I want the brush to be I don't need the brush to be perfect, so this will be alright. I like this brush. I really like my old brushes. This is an old Winsor & Newton brush. The old brushes are the best. So I get some yellow and red, some green. Probably some white. Let's just check it with that. It's way too yellow. Way too yellow. So some green. This is too green. I know it's too green, so white. See how the white takes away the strength of the colour? That's something to think about. So we're still too bright, really. A little bit of blue in it. We dull it with a bit of brown. Might make two piles Like a yellowy pile. Might throw in a bit more of the blue. See what that looks like. It's too dark. I think that looks alright. Still. Bit of red in it. The red will take away the green a bit. That looks alright. It's not bad what I've got. Just threw a bit of blue in it. Blue. Bit of blue, bit of brown. What's that like? Oh. Oh. So I'll put a little bit of blue, a bit of brown in it. And it doesn't look like the right colour to your mind, because when I look at it, it doesn't look right, it looks too brown. But when you put it there, it's really close. So that'll do, that's close enough, that'll do. And it's going to mix with this a bit anyway, so start putting this in. Become treetops. As you know, I'm probably more of an impressionist than anything, so I tend to use like little strokes like this. Almost like little flicks. I imagine someone like Monet would probably use. Said it before, I think. Something Monet said is that the more brush strokes, more variety of brush strokes you get, the better. So I do think that sometimes. So I've got like a bit of a mix here. I've got the lightest, the middle, a bit of green here, a bit of yellow here. And what I'll do is I'll go in between them. Some areas I need a bit more of the red, and some areas I need a bit more of the yellow. Just switch brushes. Got my old dark one again. Just doing the old switcheroo. Going from two brushes, you see, preventing that contamination. Using slightly different colours there, changing things up. Trying to get rid of all those darks that are not needed. Throwing more dark where it is needed. Okay. Now the next layer down. And this layer, I want a bit more yellowy red in it. I'm still using the same idea. This might have a bit of a bit of a Pizarro look, or a I'm dreaming now. Oh yes, it does look like that, yes. Looks as good as the old Impressionists, of course it does. A few randoms, get that a bit darker there. Just have some flashes of light going pew, pew, pew. Okay. So I think now what I'll do nicely there. I think I'll start putting in these trees, put the dark side of these trees. I might just use this brush because the background is pretty much there, isn't it? I think that's pretty good. Yeah, so I think I'll go, like I said, to the dark bit. And what I might do is do the other, just to show you. What I might do is do this dark here, this dark here, this dark here, probably this block as well. I might block that in there, maybe that as well. Start really blocking stuff in. Just removing that brush. Right. Yes, blocking things in. So I'm going to make a dark then. So we want quite a dark blue, brown, red, keep it warm, green, maybe get a bit of iridium green as well, a bit more green, more blue. Nice and dark that is. Put some yellow in it actually, just to raise it up. Raise it up. Right, it's enough of the singing. Not any bad singing on this channel. Well, not too much of it anyway. Right, so let's put in the dark. Luckily I've got my nice very, very rough sketch. So dark there, dark, so it goes there and there. So if you squint your eyes and look, you'll be able to see the simple shapes of darkness. And you can paint them in happily. Okay. Right, and now this area, I need to paint this eye out. It's looking at me. It's probably really disappointed that I painted over it. So I'll block this in. Just putting a very thin amount of paint in areas as well. I quite like that. It's quite dark around there as well. There's a bit of a light that sort of zips out of there, which we can paint in. We can paint that in, no worries. Same with this bit, there's a bit of dark here. And here. Quite dark along here. Hints of light though, of course. But of course, dark under here. Might cool that down, that dark, a bit more blue in it. Remember, lights and darks are warm and cold as well as light and dark. They're not just light and dark. Think of them as warm and cool. Cold and warm, warm and cold. Same with your lights. Your lights sometimes are cold lights, sometimes they're warm lights. Gotta think like that. I'm getting some brown, just throwing some brown on my brush. So I'm starting to think, whoa, it's time to get this, get things moving a bit. So I can get some brown on there. Get this, this building. If you've seen one of my plein air paintings that I did, I actually painted this scene from a slightly different angle, and I painted it out and about. It's good fun. Grabbing a bit more of the sap green in my colour. Start throwing that in down here. Sap green. Phthalo green. So what we can do is we can start slopping our colours on. You can sort of see the pattern of light now. That's why the white chalk works so well. It really does, and honestly, it's brilliant. So think about that. Think about the light, that light chalk. So I'm going to get a bit of red. Grabbing a bit of red in this dark look. Because all, like I said, not all dark is just black. Black, black, black and more black. Some of the dark is warmer. So you don't want to just think black, black and black, warm, dark, cool, dark. There's a bit of light in here. Got some nice branches and things up here. I'm going to grab a bit of yellow in with a red, bit of yellow in there. Let's throw this in here. Before we do our main strokes, we'll put some colour in. Where's this tree? It's about there, isn't it? Branches all over the place. We need to put in some light as well. Just use that colour on here, changing things around a bit. Light. Where you see light, you can always add a bit of warmth like this underneath. And then you can go back to dark. Maybe a cool dark. Bit more of that orangey colour right up here. Use some of that on the edge as well, actually, on down here. Got those branches coming down. Sort of a yellowy reddish. Got this sort of a greenish, reddish, yellowish. I'm getting carried away. Before I start doing all this, I probably should start this bit here as well, and those trees. So, I've just come back from my cup of coffee. I wanted to relax and be nice and fresh for the next part of this painting. So, I'm just eyeballing the picture, looking at the reference, looking at the picture, thinking about what I need to do next. So I'm quite far into this now, and it's going to be plain sailing. Well, let's hope anyway. We've got to tell ourselves that. Tell ourselves it's going to be easy, because otherwise we might psychologically find it too difficult. Get a bit of the old Viridian green and yellow. There we go. Bit of red. There's dirty red that's here. Throw that in. More of the yellow. Just check that colour. Wow. Wow, that was awful. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was too if I put too much red in that. See how that cabin red, it just... There we go. See what that's like. My different stages of colour mixing. I think this is pretty close. I mean, it gets the grass perfectly. So what I might do is I might throw in this bit of grass here. And this bit of grass there. Might as well, haven't we? While we've got it on the brush. There's a bit more light in that as well. Yeah. Let's start doing this. There's a bit of red in it. So what I'm going to do is go like that, pick that red out, and then go into this colour, and then we'll get a little bit of both on there, and then we can carry on with our little strokes. We'll pick up some of this green as well, which we don't mind doing. It works for us then, you can see how it's working for us. Some of the darker colour is in it. Get rid of this eye. And then another thing that I do, and it works really well, is if I hold my brush really lightly and have a really light amount of pressure, I can just take off some paint. See the little leaves forming. Just takes off a little bit of the paint. And you just give it a tiny drag, tiny little pull. There we go. You'll be able to see it on this. See that? See how there's only some of them have got this nice light. Nice glintiness on the tree as it comes through. Back into the other yellowy colour. We can bring it all the way down. Nice and delicate, and there's a few little bits here. Nice and delicate, remember. While we're at it, oops. Couldn't see that, but I just blodged. Look at this. I just blodged my reference picture with paint. That does happen quite a lot. So I just noticed I haven't put in this bit of light. It's a bit of light here. Sort of almost that colour that we used there. So I'll just put that in there. Up there. And then there's a few like bushes and stuff that are darker. Just throw in a bit of this. And just put a few bits here and there. I don't want to overdo things there. I can put in a bit of darkness in areas. And we've got this dark there. Okay. Now we want to get this tree in. Now the green on that tree is not. It's not the same, it's more like this green that we had here. See, I left it on my palette just in case. So I think it's more. Yeah, this is definitely more. So same sort of thing, we use our little. I always think of Monet when I do this, really. See, Monet. Monet was a fantastic painter, and although they say he painted really quick, which I'm sure he did with the amount of practice that he did, but I doubt that he would have painted in a manner that he couldn't control. You always need control, don't you? So I always think to myself, how can I help control my brushstrokes more when I'm painting? How can I control things more? And this soft method great way to keep under control. There's bits of red in there. Another quick tip, wipe your brush. It's got most of the paint off, but then it's got some of it still on, so you can go into this dark and put in some of the lights. That way you can get rid of the complete darkness. Send that path up to there. Okay. It's looking quite good, isn't it? You know what I might do? I want some of that paint. Take some of that paint. I might put in my yellow bit that's here now. this. Just tap in a bit more light on there. Okay, there's a bit of light there as well. It's like pockets of light, isn't there? And then that goes dark. Oops, I just grabbed my brush at the brush end. That's not good. Just want to darken that bit there. Needing to change things up a bit around here. Some dark on this road. Yeah. So I need to get this put in. I need this in now, really. So it's kind of a pinky colour. Remember what I said about cleaning your brush? Using a dirty brush. But the difference is, the Cadmi Red is so bright and so strong that it takes over. And I used quite a lot of my paint off my brush already. So, just in case you're watching and you're going, hang on a minute, he just used a dirty brush. Mixed his colour, he told us not to do that. There's all my excuses. I'm sticking to them. Now look at this, look how dirty this is. Okay. You just use this to get this started, really. An indication of a few things there. Just wipe my brush, and we'll put another. We'll zoom in with some more paint. A nice pinky colour. Okay, and then I'll just go straight into some dark. Or a dull red, and I'll see how this looks. Now in the photo this is almost black, but okay. There we go. Might go a bit darker actually. Especially there. Especially there. What I might do is just do some indications of this. Just sort of an indication of brickwork. I think that'll do. I don't want to go into too much detail really. Bit of red. Put a tiny bit of light on there. Maybe it does need to go a bit darker actually. Okay, I'll leave it at that, I think. Carry on. What I want is some grass. Grass that goes right over this. I've got some highlights on the other side of the brush which I can use. I'm just tapping this in. Just go into a bit of colour. That's not quite there really. I think that's further in, so let's move that. That light's more like there. Or should be. And then there. Dark. Now I need to think about the ground. I need to paint that in for the for this area before we do too much with all this. I think what's annoying me is this is too. That's better. It was too much. That's a lot better. Yeah. Well, I think I'll just go into some nice dark and then add a little bit of colour to that. Don't want it to be black. I want you to still see something. Right. Letters. Let's move on. I might put a bit of blue into the sky, but we'll think about that. Yeah, what we want is this colour, and it's sort of an orangey. Let's wipe this brush. Grab that orangey colour, throw some white in it. I don't mind that it's a bit dirty. This is where the dirty colours work because you're doing a ground, which tends to be a bit dirty anyway. So I think what I'll do is the dark part of it. So I'm just going to get some make sort of that bluey colour, blue and red. Cooler. That's a nice grey. Perfect. Sort of a cool grey. So I'm going to use it for that area there. Just blend it a bit with my finger. Through here, goes round, and then across there. Goes around there, and then this one. Now we can see straight away that our light is going along there. Yeah, so I've got paint all over my hands. That's something I've never mastered. How to not get paint everywhere. I get paint everywhere. Right. Greens and greens. That's what we need. Greens and more greens. So I'll just wipe this brush. I'll do my darks, my darker greens. I've gone and messed up my colour So I'm going to have to get rid of some colours. So get the old knife out, whip off your milky darks. So what happens when you throw your white into your dark, it milks it up and you lose that nice colour that you once had. So I just grab my knife and just whip it off and carry on. Make some more. So a bit of blue, a bit of brown, a bit of green. Using both greens, why not? Bit of the yellow. I think that's quite nice. It's quite cool, cold blue. Look at that. Yeah, it's quite nice and cold. It's funny actually, because this picture looks like it's nice and warm, but actually on the day it wasn't. I was fully wrapped up. Right, I've got this green. I'll just put a little bit in this bit because it's going to be lighter anyway. Green, 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 green. Okay. Some blues and browns. Quite a lot of the old browns actually. Around this area anyway, there's a lot more of the old. Dirt. Okay, just sit back, have a look. Yeah, I'm quite liking that. Put a bit of that in here as well. Just pushing my brush into it. Okay, I'm going to my light brush again. And those areas of nice light. See, I'm just going to push into the paint. So you get a nice bit of paint on there. And I've got this light that goes here. It goes all the way to there. It kind of disappears. And it goes dark. And there's a hint of light here. And there. Throwing in some bits of red as well. Some there. Nice light there, some there as well. Going bing. Up in there. Up in there. Get glimmers of light here and there and here. Here. There. And there's like this nice orangey yellow in the trees here. I'm doing those little nice strokes again. Some more bits of there. And a few up here. Might just get a little bit of white while we're still playing with this colour. What I might do is make use some white, just move it over there. Trying to make a nice warm colour for the ground where the that's nice. Where this is hitting, so the light's hitting that area there. So you pick your brush up and bit of light there. Okay, there, and there's some glimmers of there, there. There, some along here. I'm just letting them sit on top. And up there. There's a few. A little bit of green and some little colour changes here and there. And now we've got the top of those to do. One more blue. So I'm getting a bit of this. I didn't want to do that. Never mind. Get a bit of this sky. Thinking of these. Yeah, so we've got like leaves and things on here. You can see. Okay, just sit back, look at that. Some of this bluey colour. Some more of that in there, just to flatten off some of this grass. But I don't want it to be too bright. I want to still have a bit of a darkness to it. Just want to flatten the land a bit. Okay, let's just sit back, have a look at that. Just get a little bit of the red, brown and red. Just warming up some areas. So we've got warm areas, cool areas. Okay. I quite like that. Wiping the brush. I need a bit more yellow. See, I tend to put my paints on as I go, rather than slopping loads of paint on. Pan up the palette first off. But you do what you feel's best. I'm always holding paint back a little bit. So I've run out of blue. I'm running out of all my colours. So what I like to do is put a little bit of blue and brown together, and you get a nice dark brown. It's a good thing about the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber combo. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. You can cool it down, you can warm it up, you can make changes. It's too good. It's too good to not do it. So we're just putting a few of these branches in. Quite like the way that picked up that bit of light, so I'm going to leave that. So this area is the tricky area if you're not quite sure whether you should put in your lights first or second, or who knows. And it is tricky, and there's no right or wrong answer. That's the thing. You've got to decide, make your own decision, create your own styles of painting. So I need some sky colour now. And totally messed our white up. So let's see if I can... No, I can't save it. Clear in my corner of the palette. So you clear the paint away, give the palette area a wipe. You have to do that, otherwise you might lose some paint there. And you don't want to do that, because that's going to ruin your colour. So this is a colour that we want to stay blue, nice and bright. So we've got some ultramarine blue and white. Ultramarine blue and white. And I'll put this brush down. This has been my dark brush. It's been my light brush and my dark brush. Now it's put down. Because it's been so many, and I can't have it being this as well. So we get some blue and white on the brush. We want that colour again. And now we need to start pulling out some of this sky into here. Now this is the tricky bit. You don't want to be going into your brown. If you do go into your brown, you wipe your brush and then use it again. So I use quite a lot of paint when I'm doing this because of the colours that are on there. And I'll just have this sit on top. You can change this, you can make it different to what it is up there, make your own ideas. You don't always, when you have reference pictures, like I've got, you don't have to copy the reference. You don't feel like that is it, that you have to measure it, that you have to do it exact. If you're playing around, painting, you don't have to. You can create it the way you want it to be. Don't feel like things have to be just so. They don't. I'm putting a few little dots in there. Bit more blue in that. There we go. Yeah, I quite like that. I might put a little in More blue in there. There we go. Maybe there. What do we think? I like that. So I'm going to leave it at that with my sky, I think. I'll leave my brush just in case, because we might put more in, but for now, let's get this brush. I've got another brush down there, what's that one? Okay, that was dark as well. All my brushes have become dark brushes. I'm going to put a branch going right across there. I don't mind the light being on it. The beautiful thing about painting outdoors, if you've ever tried it, you see so much more, and then it comes into your normal painting, you start seeing so much, and then it starts helping you develop your own painting more. Something that I noticed, the biggest thing was the amount of light droplets and things that you find. And the other thing that amazed me was the amount of branches. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew there was a lot of branches out there. I knew there was a lot of branches out there, man. I just didn't realise how many. Splashing in some leaves there. Got to give them the indication of coming down, haven't I? You can put in as many as you want. As red as you want. Just picking up some colour, a bit more colour. I'm enjoying this red sort of colour, so I'll warm things up a bit. And maybe a bit of light, white, bit of red, yellow and white here and there. Some of it will leave dark. Just sit back, have a look. Are you happy with it? Maybe it needs a few more. You can go really, really subtle like this. And get a really nice bright colour in there, like that pinky colour. nice yellow. Using it. Okay. I think I'm about there. What I might do is throw in a few. Light there. Do I go to town here? Do I really go to town here? Get some white on the this pinky yellow. A little bit of a extra detail. I'll just wipe this brush a sec. Get my blue and brown on the branch there. Yeah. Let's sit back, have a look at that. Yeah, I quite like that. I think we're missing a bit of this here. Some really dark bits in this as well. Okay, just sit back, have a look at that. I do like that. Maybe I can improve this by going. Get that bit of light just to get on that there. Beep, beep, beep. There's a hint of light there. Something else I was going to do, I was going to put a bit of the sky colour on top of these, some of these bits of roof. Just a hint there. And then some real dark. Yeah, I prefer that. Now I can put in some leaves that are falling sort of this way as well. That are in front of this. I'll sort of go downwards with them. A bit of dark, a few darker ones as well. Okay, that sends that back. Right, I quite like that. I could go further, couldn't I? I could go. But I think the grass could be pushed up a bit. Yeah. Maybe that can be. Yeah. I quite like that. I could keep going forever, so I probably should think about finishing now. Yeah, maybe we could put a little bird in the sky. I'd like that. There is a There is a bird, a couple of buzzards actually, I always try and get a picture of. I never can. So maybe we'll have a bit there. I'll do. I'll just have those two. So I only usually see two. Never can catch them. Whenever I go to try and take a picture of them, they always go the other end. Unfortunately, I ain't got my super zoom lens anymore. So it's I'm never going to be able to get a picture of them. Never. Anyway, I'm going to sign a little JB here in the corner. In amongst this. A little JB. That'll do. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope it gave you some good ideas of what you can do. I'm so tempted to just go. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, so what I just wanted to create that illusion there of it going in there. So that'll do. That'll do. I'm quite happy with that. I enjoyed myself. Which is the main thing, you know, enjoying yourself painting. That's the one thing you want to be doing. Having fun, enjoying yourself. You don't want to be constantly stressing out because you're painting as good as someone else's. You want to be just looking at your own painting and enjoying yourself while you're doing it. Here I am, looking at other things and thinking, oh yeah, I could do this. Ooh, I could do this. But what I should do really is think about finishing, because otherwise I'll never stop. So I'll say thanks very much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get inspired and think, oh yes, I want to paint something like this. So I'll see you at another one. Cheers, bye.